Hello, and welcome back to the Afterlife podcast. I'm your host, Samina Bari. Today, I wanted to take a moment to reflect on the powerful conversations we've shared over these last 5 episodes. My hope from the very beginning has been to create a space for honest conversations around spousal loss and to offer both compassion and practical lessons that can help us all, whether we're the ones grieving or we're walking alongside someone who is. If you've been listening since the beginning, you know that this podcast was born out of my personal loss, the sudden death of my husband, Doug. I opened up about how that experience shattered and reshaped my world as a wife, a mother, and now a solo parent, and more importantly, as a person. This unique loss isn't just about missing someone, but about having your entire world, your identity, and your future rewritten overnight against your will. Some of the takeaways I shared are that the loss of a spouse is unlike any other kind of grief. It strips you of your own identity. Your past, your present, your future are all erased. You have lost all of your dreams. And that support matters more than words. Small, thoughtful gestures can help lift a grieving person during their darkest days. Why? Because talking about grief makes us uncomfortable as a society. And many times, it's someone else's discomfort that leads to silence, doing the bare minimum, or turning to platitudes that miss the mark or unintentionally hurt us. I know I speak for many others who've lost their beloved spouse when I say, I remember every kindness, and I remember every hurt. The guests I featured were people who I knew understood how to show up for me and my children during our darkest time. This podcast was the first time since my husband's death that we really talked about those early days. I was joined by my dear friend of over 30 years, Stephanie Coase, who, as the first person I called from the hospital as my husband lay dying, spoke powerfully about putting your own feelings aside, truly listening, and being present with compassion and practical help. She shared just how she provided the support I needed most during those difficult days, while she too was processing her own grief for Doug, who was like a brother to her for over 20 years. Her words of advice were to listen with empathy, without judgment, and without trying to fix anything, because despite our hurt, you can't fix this or fix us. And that grieving children need special attention and care, as their experiences and ways of coping are often overlooked. This was a sentiment that was echoed again by other guests, but she was the first one of the adults to pay special attention to our girls. She also emphasized that friends and chosen family form a crucial support network. Having them step in with their different strengths can help take on the many things that need to be done so that collectively they can help lighten the load from the grieving spouse. And a very important insight she shared was that self-care for supporters matters too. They are, in other words, like caregivers to us. So taking care of yourself is important so that you can sustain the energy and the strength you need to be present for us. Next, I was joined by another dear friend, Abby Reyes, who also played a crucial role in those first days and weeks after Doug's passing. Without me having to say a word, she managed all the time-consuming logistics of visitors, meals, travel, and organizing Doug's memorial while navigating her own shock and grief at his passing. One of the things we talked about was if cultural backgrounds, such as Abby's Filipino heritage, can help us hold space for grief and keep memories alive in a way that Western culture doesn't necessarily. She shared some really important insights, such as continuing conversations about the one we lost and creating remembrances that are crucial for long-term emotional well-being, and that personalized memorials and keeping traditions alive with favorite music, cocktails, and other memories helps celebrate a loved one's life and helps to foster our healing. Importantly, echoing Stephanie's advice that included remembering children in activities helps allow them to participate and keeps their connection to their lost parent alive. Of course, grief is personal and different for everyone, so it's important to honor and respect each person's unique way of feeling and processing their loss without applying your own judgment. In my 4th episode, I spoke with Jason Fang. Jason is not only the founder of Terra Firma Wealth Partners, but someone who lost his own father when he was a young boy and watched his mother struggle with that devastating loss. This motivated him to become who he is today. We discussed the overwhelming financial and legal responsibilities that follow the death of a spouse, as well as the importance of building a strong support network and community when times are good, much like what both Abby and Stephanie said. That's why planning ahead helps, but no one is ever truly prepared for the emotional reality when a death actually happens. So his practical advice is what everyone should heed today. Lean on your village in the good times and the bad. Friends and family can help with burdensome administrative tasks, meal trains, and phone calls. Delegating during this time is not only allowed, but necessary. Family transparency well in advance helps prevent conflict, so open conversations about intentions can reduce confusion and future contention among loved ones. Digital assets in today's world require special planning. Wills often don't account for digital legacies. Assigning legacy contacts and using password managers can help prevent costly and painful legal hurdles, like the one I experienced. Try to avoid these costly mistakes. Many financial and legal decisions are one-way doors, and professional guidance is invaluable for preventing errors with lasting consequences. Again, this is something I made an error with when my own mother passed. The last conversation I had was with Cara Belvin, CEO and founder of Empower, a wonderful nonprofit dedicated to supporting children who have lost a parent. Cara spoke about losing her own mother when she was a young girl, the unique challenges grieving children face, and the importance of creating community for young people navigating early loss. Although we only had one episode for this topic, the subject of children and grief could be a series on its own. But here were some of the key takeaways. Do not say children are resilient. Children who lose a parent at a young age are not resilient. They carry it with them for the rest of their lives. Children in grief don't present like adults in grief, and childhood development and hormones layer in additional complexities to their behaviors. Open, honest conversation about loss with children, tailored to their needs, is essential for healthy grieving, and there's no timeline for their grief. It shapes who they will eventually become into adulthood. Children also need consistent, compassionate support and tools to process their grief, because they don't have the maturity or ability to process grief at a young age. That's why peer support and mentorship programs give grieving children a vital community where they feel understood and less alone. And finally, surviving parents often carry an overwhelming emotional burden and need additional support to care for their children's grief. I am so grateful for the generosity, vulnerability, and wisdom my guests shared. If the stories and lessons from these episodes resonated with you, I invite you to continue the conversation with me at saminabari.com. There, you'll find updates about my book, Don't Call Me Widow, How to Support Someone Who Has Lost Their Spouse, which is the companion to this podcast. There, you can also download a free resource I created called What Actually Helps, a simple guide to supporting someone who has lost their partner. At saminabari.com, you'll also see ways to share this work, from ordering copies for your community to gifting the book, or inviting me to speak so we can spark more of these needed conversations together. Let's keep this dialogue alive. The more we talk about how to support one another through this uniquely devastating loss, the more healing and connection we can create, along with growing awareness about how to help and show up in the ways that truly matter. Thank you for listening and for being part of this journey with me. Until next time, I'm Samina Bari, and this is the Afterlife Podcast.